Hare Krishna. So, thank you all for coming to Radha Kund today. We are a large group for such a built-up place, so it's a little tight, but that's just the material side. Maybe first of all, we just remember where we are. Just next to Aristagram, the place where Aristasura was killed. And we recall that when that took place, that Radharani and the gopis were saying to Krishna that, oh, you killer of a bull, now you are contaminated. Therefore now we can no longer associate with you. You will first have to go on a long pilgrimage to all the holy places, and then once you've done that, then you can become purified from this great sin that you have committed. Then again we can associate with you. So Krishna was thinking that this is a complication. So what Krishna did is he made with his foot a hole in the ground, and immediately waters appeared, and then they said that, oh, but this is not right. Said, no, you have to go to all the holy places. But then all the holy places, all the deities of the various rivers and sacred lakes, they all appeared, and they all entered into Krishna's Kund. So Krishna's Kund is on the other side of the little temple we're looking at, the second Kund. And then Krishna took his bath, and after he did so, then he said, so, well, I am so sorry, my dear gopis, but actually, I've tried to please you, so I made an arrangement to take bath in all the holy places. But let's look at it now. Aristasura was not at all a bull, he was a demon. He just took the form of a bull, and you have been protecting this demon, and therefore you are contaminated. And therefore I cannot associate with you any longer. What to do? Not possible. So, what do we do? I said, you have to take baths in all the holy places. And like the gopis said, all right. So they broke their bangles, and with these bangles scraped the ground and dug a hole, and that was here, and that became Radha Kund. When it came to water, they made a human chain with buckets from Manasi Ganga, and they're going to take the water from Manasi Ganga and put it here. And when Krishna saw that, then he said, oh, this is going to take forever, this is not a good idea. So Krishna requested that they would take baths in his Kund, and then they could be pure. They said, no, that we cannot do, we'll have our own. But then all the deities from the waters, they came before Radharani and begged, please accept our service. So then they entered into her Kund. So that is the story of how Radha Kund came into existence, or how it manifested in this world. We can't exactly say that it came into existence, because it is eternal. Radha Kund is always there, sometimes manifest, sometimes not manifest to the eye, but in fact always present. It was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who discovered these two kunds that were forgotten in the fields, and just jumped in and started bathing in great ecstasy, and the local villagers were looking, and his servants were looking, and eventually it came out, this is Radha Kund and Shama. So later, it was Raghunath Goswami who was the personality who then excavated Radha Kund and made the ghats and all these arrangements. So, just a few dates, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we all remember, appeared in 1486. In 1510, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left Navadvip, and it took him a few years before he came to Vrindavan. So, therefore, it is thought that around 1515 he discovered Radha Kund. So then, only much later, it is like the Goswamis made a plan to develop Radha Kund. So Jiva Goswami became involved, and 30 years after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discovered Radha Kund, Jiva Goswami purchased the land around Radha Kund. So that's in 1545, and then Raghunath Das, who was very expert in organizing things, he began the excavation of Radha Kund. And then in 1554, Raghunath Das became like after everything was established, Raghunath Das became the leader. He became the Mahant of Radha Kund. The Mahant is a leader amongst sadhus, recognized as the leading personality. So, therefore, just over on that side is Raghunath Das Samadhi. We'll go there a little later, and that, of course, is then a major place. Now, from Chaitanya Charitamrita, we remember that Raghunath Das was a bit younger than for example, Rupa and Sanatan, who were pretty much contemporaries of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghunath Das Goswami then, when he came to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he joined a little later, so to speak. He joined Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, and it was difficult for him to escape from home because from this wealthy family his father would hold him back, but eventually he escaped. And then he was placed under the care of Sarup Damodar Goswami in Jagannath Puri, and he was performing great austerities. It's said that Raghunath Das was living from begging. Raghunath Das, after a while, gave up begging, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired, what happened? Raghunath used to stand at the gate of the Simhadwara of the Jagannath temple, and he used to beg for alms. So then Sarup Damodar said, no, he felt that this was too much in the spirit of a prostitute. Yesterday this person came, gave me, or entertained with me, like this. He felt his mind was getting distracted. Here came a donor yesterday, oh, here comes another one. Said no. So now he just takes a little bit of food from some charity place where they're giving out something. Then he's finished with his eating business. Then after a little while, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired. He said, I heard that Raghunath is no longer going to the charity booth. No, he's no longer going there. Then what is he eating? Oh, he eats the leftover rice that is thrown out from the Jagannath temple. Oh, but that rice is not very nice, is it? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, it is rotten, and even the cows will not eat it. But what Raghunath is doing, he washes it in water, and then the soft core comes up, the soft covering comes up, and the inner core remains, and he puts a little salt and he eats that. So everyone is looking at like, what is Raghunath eating? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went to Raghunath and he met Raghunath and he said, "Oh Raghunath, what nectar are you eating?" And Raghunath said, "No, my lord, no. He could see what was coming. "No, my lord, this is not for you." But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had very long arms. So it's difficult to deal with someone who has long arms, and Raghunath tried to block, but these long arms came from all around, and before he knew it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu managed to snatch some. He said, oh, this is the best. This is the best prasad I ever tasted. This is complete nectar. Oh, Raghunath, you are keeping it all for yourself. In this way, Raghunath Das Goswami was a great devotee, and he was under the care of Sarup Damodar. When later Raghunath came here, then in due course of time Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he came and he took instruction from Raghunath Das Goswami. He was very close with Raghunath Das Goswami. His Bhajang Kutir is also a little bit further on that side. I don't know if we can manage to sit there with so many people. Probably not, because it's all a little cramped. So we'll just have to walk past, pay obeisances, and then find a bigger place to sit. Somewhere at Shama Kund or so, where it's a little more quiet. But the point is that there was a very intimate connection between Raghunath Das Goswami and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. It is said that Srila Sarup Damodar Goswami was the personal secretary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as the personal secretary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he resided with him in Jagannath Puri in his final years, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going into his ecstatic moods of love of God and was no longer so much relating to the world. It said for the first 6 years, the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Bengal used to come to Puri, but then they were told not to come anymore because Mahaprabhu was in too much ecstasy. And yes, this was the situation. So Raghunath Das, he was closely associated with Sarup Damodar, and Sarup Damodar kept a diary. And this diary was about the later pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nowadays, that diary is no longer available. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in his introduction to his commentary on the Brahma Samhita, there he writes that Raghunath Das memorized the diary of Sarup Damodar. So he brought that here to Vrindavan, to Radha Kund. And when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami came, then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he heard it from Raghunath Das. And in this way, Krishnadas became expert for writing the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And because the other biographies, there's the Kadacha, or the diary of Murari Gupta, there is an earlier biography of Kavi Karnapur, and then there is Vrindavan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Bhagavat. And all these biographies are not describing the actual later pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It kind of doesn't go much further than Navadvip, a little bit about Puri, but not really those later years. So everyone knew that Raghunath Das knew, and Krishna Das had come to Vrindavan and he had studied under the Goswamis, and then Krishna Das It is what it is. Right, hold it. Huh? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? It's not possible, it's already on maximum, no? You just turned on the echo. It's showtime. What to do? So anyway, his speaker is bigger than mine. What to do? He's a local. So Raghunath Das passed on this knowledge of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's final days to Krishnadas Kaviraj. Krishnadas had been closely connected to Rupa and Sanatan and Jiva Goswami. So in this way, he was very learned in the works of the Goswamis. So it was for that reason that Krishnadas Kaviraj was asked to write the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he wrote that Chaitanya Charitamrita here on the banks of Radha Kund. And actually, in one sense, these two places, the Samadhi of Raghunath Das Goswami and that place where Krishnadas Kaviraj resided and wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita, and not only Chaitanya Charitamrita, he also wrote Govinda Lilamrita. And Govinda Lilamrita is a book that describes about Vrindavan and the Vrindavan pastimes. So the pastimes in Vrindavan are very difficult to understand. Like we can look ahead, and what do we see? We see two lakes, we see some buildings, we see some steps along the water, we see some temples. We can get a map, and the map I have one, that shows all the temples that are here, and we can feel that is what is Radha Kund. But when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is looking, he sees something else. Because the other day I was describing how there is the Prakat Lila and the Aprakat Lila, or that which we can see and that which we cannot see. So what we are seeing is not actually the Radha Kund as Krishna is seeing it, or as it is on the transcendental plane. We just see the outer material covering, and we hear the outer covering here. So I'll try and read a little bit. Noise or no noise, I will not give up so easy. So in the Govinda Lilamrita, in the 7th chapter, there is a description of Radha Kund. But that is the Radha Kund as it is in Krishna's pastimes. So it's a little different than our Radha Kund. Yearning to meet his beloved Radharani, Lord Hare walked a little distance, turned from the path, and arrived at his favorite place, Radha Kund. Filled with many jeweled staircases and its four corners studded with jewels, Radha Kund appeared very beautiful. In the four corners were pavilions studded with glistening jewels. Around the pavilions were jeweled mosaic floors and courtyards. Around each pavilion were four wonderfully colorful swings, decorated with various fragrant flowers and suspended from the branches of trees. In the south was a swing suspended from two champaks trees. In the east was a swing suspended from two Kadamba trees. In the north was a swing suspended from two mango trees. In the west was a swing suspended from two bakul trees. In the east By southeast corner, the grove of trees came right up to the water, and a little north of that place was a wonderfully colorful bridge suspended from pillars. The water of the lake was of varying depth, sometimes as deep as one's neck, chest, belly, navel, hips, thighs, or knees. The groves on the shore were of varying shapes, some 6-sided, 7-sided, 8-sided, or circular. The temperature was always pleasant, the winters being warm and the summer cool. In all directions there were staircases studded with various jewels. The water, which vanquished all thirst for its drinkers, was decorated with waves that glistened as if they were many jewels. In the middle of the water was a great assembly of waterfowl, some sort of water plant. The shore was decorated with many courtyards, where Sri Radha and Krishna enjoyed many joking pastimes in the company of their associates. There were many wonderfully colorful broad mosaic floors, and in all directions there were many trees, blossoming with many large flowers and fruits, and embraced by many flowering creepers. In the four corners of Radha Kund, there were gardens of Madhavi creepers, surrounded by groves of Banira, Kesara and Ashok trees. Around there were the large groves of the various gopis, and beyond them were groves of plantain trees that provided nice transcendental fruits and cooling shade. Beyond that were gardens and forests of flower-bearing trees. In the middle of Radha Kund's water was a glittering bridge leading to a jeweled palace. In these gardens were many goddesses of fortune and hundreds of maidservants engaged by Vrindadevi in collecting various fruits and flowers and in rendering various service in pleasant cottage here and there in the forest. So you can just visualize a palace of jewels in the middle and a beautiful decorated jeweled bridge going there. On the four corners there are swings hanging off trees, can you see? And then jewels everywhere on the steps, beautiful gardens, many groves. Each of the gopis would have a grove, a garden around Radha Kund, where they would receive a little wall around these gardens also. Like for example, there is Champakalata's garden, and it is known as Champa Kalata Nanda Kunja, and in that place everything is yellow and gold. So all the seats, all the arrangements, everything is gold. And there is a throne which is golden, and it has golden yellow cloth on it, and when Srimati Radharani meets there secretly with Krishna, she being of a golden color, dresses in yellow clothes, and I tell you, people think that Krishna is sitting there all by himself. Nicely, peacefully by himself, sitting on that throne. But she's sitting right next to him. Am I seeing that or imagining it? So in this way, and there's another kund which is, I have to look who's kund. Anyway, there's another one, which is where everything is blackish blue, right? All dark and bluish colors. And then when Radharani and Krishna sit on the throne, it looks as if Radharani is sitting alone on the throne. So in this way, the pastime places are there. It is said that there various gopis, as we read, thousands are assisting in these gardens to make it nice. One sweeps the floor with her long hair. She unties her hair and sweeps the floor with that hair. So how can one imagine these things? What is going on? It is just different. So when we are here, that is why I thought, let us first sit down, right? Before we look at anything, let us first sit down and understand, what are we seeing here? What are we really seeing? Not just, we're not seeing what we're seeing. What are we really hearing? We're not really hearing, there's something else. There's another reality here. So that is the aprakat, that which we cannot perceive with mundane eyes. which is only revealed to those who are eligible, who are completely absorbed in service to the Lord. So in this way, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, being the incredible personality that he is, he opens our darkened eyes, right? He is showing us really what is here, what we are looking at. So since we don't have spiritual eyes, we are looking now by hearing. After hearing from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, we can just look at Radha Kund with our mind's eye. The waters of Radha Kund and Shama Kund are the liquid love of Radha and Krishna. Here, this is their most intimate place in conjugal love, and who are we to go deeply into understanding such things? So many times the question comes up, can we take bath in Radha Kund? And then I was here with Bhuvaneshwar Prabhu, who is like the deity cook in Vrindavan. He says he was here when Srila Prabhupada came and the devotees came, and one devotee made a bomb, right? You know how to make a bomb, right? You just sort of fold knees together and hold them tight. You run towards the water, hold tight, and then a lot of water splashes up. So one American brahmachari made a bomb, right? And then Prabhupada was not very happy. So then Prabhupada said one could not bathe. And Prabhupada said, no, we should stay on the banks. We can either put 3 drops or we can just scoop some water with a lota. Respectful. Since then, so many devotees are taking baths and so on, but respectfully and prayerfully and so on. I'm not going to be here the one to say, oh, let's all jump in today. That I will not say, because I'm not sure if my seniors are going to look upon me with a smile when I do that. So I won't do that. But what I'll say is this, is that think of how exalted this place is. Think of how Radha and Krishna here are manifesting in these waters and are manifesting in an embrace. Think of how so many intimate dealings of that conjugal nature take place here. And then think of yourself, if you're really pure enough. Think, first of all, are we externally following everything? Always? Or is there some weakness? Weakness is human. Weakness can be forgiven. It's not that we will hang all the devotees who are not always able to follow the principles strictly from the highest tree. We will not do that. Don't worry. We will be nice. We will say, oh, what to do. You are struggling. We understand. Yes, it is not so easy. That's fine. But then are we qualified? But what if we really follow everything nicely? All right, then we're following externally. Externally, we're following 16 rounds, 4 regulated principles, all these things. And then internally, what garbage are we bringing into the water? In our mind. What is there in our mind? Have you ever seen mandalas? Mandalas, there are mantras and yantras. A mantra is trying to capture the absolute truth in sound. In a yantra, we're trying to capture the absolute truth in an image. So I've seen images where there was a big square, it represented the universe. Then in that square there was a circle, it represented the gross body. In the circle there was a second circle, which represented the subtle body. And then in the subtle body there were the cemeteries. Cemeteries, yes, you heard it right. In the mind, the cemeteries. Huh? Cemetery in the mind? Yes? What to do? Imagine we go around that dark corner of our mind where we usually don't go. There is a road leading to the dark corner in our mind, and along in that road is at the side of a mountain. There is a steep drop, and we're walking to the corner, and there's a vulture sitting on a branch. Right. Then we go past that, and we come to a lane, and at the end of the lane there's a gate, and then a bell rings 12 times, and then we are on a cemetery. In modern American language they say the skeletons in the closet, right? Everyone has some skeletons in the closet, right? Everyone has some impurities in his consciousness. So think about that. If we are qualified. I don't feel so qualified. But when I went with Bhuvaneshwar, he made me take baths. I did it on he's my senior, okay, I went along with it. Later, I did Govardhan Parikrama one time with Vaishnav Maharaj. He made me take baths. I did it. And then I thought, who am I, you know, who am I to enter into such sacred waters? So it's not cheap, that is for sure. So I'm not telling you you cannot bathe, but I'm telling you, think about it. If you think yourself qualified to do so. Otherwise, take 3 drops and just leave it at that. You know, that's also good. But we are here to although normally our Krishna consciousness is happening in the world where we are involved with material things. We drive cars, we play with computers, we do so many things. We shop, we do all these material things every day. Some have jobs, some are studying, some are counting the cash in the bank, whatever may be. We're so involved in worldly life, and then our Krishna consciousness is a big part of it is external restrictions. Yeah? You cannot do this, you cannot drink this, you cannot eat that, you cannot go here, you cannot go there. Basically, that's our. So a lot of our Krishna consciousness restricts us from our life in the material world. And then we have some sadhana or our bhajan. And how deep is that? Bhajan means our meditation. How deep is our meditation in the morning on Krishna? Is it very deep? Even some live in a temple, they go to Mangalarti. Now in Vrindavan, we're all going to Mangalarti. Are we deep in our meditation, or are we just there? We're sort of there, thinking, oh gosh, really early and so crowded. All these external things. How deep can we go? Then we are, let me chant Hare Krishna. So, who knows how many rounds you chanted this morning, I don't know. But I don't know what time you started. But were they deep? Were we actually really close with Krishna? So, for the most part, our spiritual life is external. For the most part, our spiritual life is about external practices that we are doing, and we're not deeply encountering Krishna. Now we've come to Vrindavan. This is the land of Krishna. This is the home of Krishna. Now we've come to Radha Kund. So Srila Prabhupada writes, in the Shastra it is said that all types of fruitive workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life, is favored by the Supreme Lord Hare. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, jnanis, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge may take to devotional service. He is superior to the others. However, one who has actually attained prem, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. The gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they're always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna, the transcendental cowherd boy. Among the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kunda, lake, is profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis. Who then will not reside at Radha Kund in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings, apakrita bhav, render loving service to the divine couple, Sri Radha Govinda, who perform their Astakaliya Lila, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Radha Kund are the most fortunate people in the universe. Yeah, so there are many points. Here Srila Prabhupada is describing the importance of Radha Kund. So we are coming here to get a glimpse of the eternal reality. We're on this Parikrama and we're getting glimpses of that spiritual world. That's what we do in Vrindavan. We are not immediately forgetting who we are. We don't forget. We have brought what we have brought in our hand luggage to Vrindavan. We don't forget what is still in our consciousness or material conditioning. But still, externally respectful and externally in a mood to receive mercy, we're trying to understand a little bit about what is going on in the spiritual world. And how everyone is simply assisting Radha and Krishna. Thousands of gopis in all these gardens surrounding all these groves with beautiful seating arrangement, roofs and trees and plants in different colors and decorations and so on, with delicious foodstuffs and offerings, all for the pleasure of Radha and Krishna, all to bring Radha and Krishna together. All that is happening. So in that way, we appreciate that, because this is the place where Radha and Krishna's most intimate pastimes are taking place, and these kunds are manifestations of themselves. Therefore we understand that is the topmost place in the universe. Now, there's one book written by Satsarup Maharaj which is called the Samadhi Diary. And in the Samadhi Diary, Satsarup Maharaj describes two places, Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi in Vrindavan, and he describes Srila Prabhupada's room. And then Maharaj writes and says, for me, these two places, the Samadhi of Srila Prabhupada and his quarters, his rooms, said these are actually the most holy places in the universe. Even more holy than Radha Kund and Shama Kund, he says. Because that's my connection. That's where I connect to this transcendental realm. That's where I make this connection. Now to me that means a lot, because personally I came to this movement, to Vrindavan, and just after Srila Prabhupada had left the planet. And his samadhi at the time when I came was just a little square building, you know, like 2 meters by 2 meters and 2 meters, a little cube, right? 2 meters high and 2 meters wide, and that was it. And from day one, very quickly I realized that was the hub, that was the hub of the whole place. Therefore still every day I'll be there in Prabhupada Samadhi Arti. Whenever I'm in Vrindavan, sick or not, I'm gonna be there, because that's the hub. I know, because that's the connection point. That's where I sort of plug my wire, you know, the electric socket. That's where my wire goes in, and that's where the spiritual energy starts flowing. Then I come here. Okay. This morning I was there in Prabhupada Samadhi, and now I come here, right? After connecting there, after refreshing my connection with Srila Prabhupada, then I can be here in this place and read a little bit from Krishna Das Kaviraj, Gita Govinda, so that I can see a jeweled palace in the middle of the water. So I can see a beautiful bridge. Can you see it? A beautiful bridge going to that palace. So that I can see swings on the corners. Jeweled swings. They're there. Have a good look. Look. They're there. See? Yeah. On the corners. Big swings. So in this way, at least we can think about it. And with that, I can think about the spiritual world. Yeah, to what extent how far can you go? You can take it a step further. Now let me step into that world of my mind. Oh yes, now I go over the bridge. Oh yes, now I'm in the jewel palace. Yes, and then what? Then what? Then you'll talk to Radha and Krishna, and you start fanning them, and then what? No. That's Srila Prabhupada. The other day I read that when you start from the Nectar Devotion, when we were up in more Kutir, Prabhupada said, no, that's impersonalism. That is just your projection upon Krishna. It's impersonalism. That's not waiting for Krishna to act. That is just us, our mind, making an artistic projection upon Krishna. No. It's not like that. Raghunath Das Goswami is very famous that Raghunath Das Goswami was not interested to pursue Madhurya Ras. Raghunath Das was saying, I'm not qualified, I will only pursue Dasya. Only I pursue being the servant. So, but when the Vaishnavas call me, then what can I do? That was his approach. So he was waiting, let the Vaishnavas call me and say, no, you hear about Madhurya Ras. No, you absorb in Madhurya Ras. Otherwise he was only concerned with Dasya. So we're hearing. So that's the beginning of our meditation. Let us walk a little bit. We can go, but well, before we walk, let me say a few more things. One thing that happened was under Akbar was quite an enlightened ruler. Under Akbar, things were quite favorable, and the Vaishnavas were flourishing. These Muslim rulers, they had made pacts with the Kshatriyas in Rajasthan. And these Kshatriyas in Rajasthan, they had been, well, there was this huge, the Muslims had come with a big army of mercenaries, all paid soldiers. And of course, to keep on paying soldiers is expensive, so they made also a pact with local rulers. And so the ruler from Delhi was Akbar, who had made connections with the rulers of Jaipur. And the deal was that the Jaipur Kshatriyas would provide an army to support the emperor, and in exchange they would be left alone. So Jaipur became a stronghold of Hinduism, and at the same time it was the place where the army came from that supported the Delhi Muslim ruler. So very interesting. And that was going on under Akbar. And Akbar he married princesses from the Hindu families also. And there's a poem of Akbar, which I could find on the phone really quick. There's a poem of Akbar where let's see if I can find it. Hope so. Not coming. Okay, not coming. Well, I'll paraphrase it because I don't memorize it. But basically, there's a poem where Akbar expresses his devotion for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he's basically explaining how he is seeing the dancing form of Mahaprabhu, how he's hearing the cymbals playing of the kirtan, and how he's offering obeisances, and he's always praying for the blessings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Akbar, and that's published by the Calcutta University that in 1930 something, that poem, and translated by them. So apparently Akbar was very favorable, but his son was Aurangzeb, and he was the opposite. Still not to upset the arrangements, the army of Jaipur was still supporting Aurangzeb in fighting with foreign forces, like with the Afghanis and the Taliban and all those people. The Hindus were fighting with the Muslims. So it was quite interesting. And in exchange, Aurangzeb still left Jaipur alone. But Vrindavan, he never left alone. Right? Vrindavan became a total mess, and they were breaking deities, they were killing Vaishnavas. It was really horrific, the prosecution that was going on. Again, I won't get into the details because it's too much. But one thing that happened was that all the deities were moved from Vrindavan, the deities of the Goswamis. Madan Mohan moved, Radha Govinda moved, Radha Gopinath moved, Radha Vinod from Lokanath Goswami moved. So Radha Damodar also from Jiva Goswami moved from Vrindavan. All these deities were taken away from Vrindavan, and all these deities, they came through here on the way to Rajasthan. Right? And they stopped here for a little while. It is said even for some time they were hiding the deities underwater in the Kund. Yeah. So as they were hiding the deities in the Kund, alright, eventually the deities left. And then Vrindavan was without these deities. So all the devotees felt so much separation that they made replicas here. So in this way we have here temples, the 7 temples of Vrindavan, and we have the Pratibhu deities. That means like just expansions. You can make copies of the original deity and call them expansions of that original deity. So in this way they've tried to invoke the presence of such deities, of the deities from Vrindavan here in Radha Kund. So that's among the temples here. And for a lot of people, that is really, wow, that's amazing. For us today, maybe not. For us, Raghunath Samadhi is the most important. For us, it's Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who's our Acharya, who reveals to us this, who gives us the eyes to see another level of Radha Kund. So we will not visit all these temples, because then we'll just run like a big snake of people through one temple, and some are in the back, and I will be 500 meters in front, and others will be and no one will hear anything anymore, and we'll just quickly darshan. We can take a few darshans, but that is better done with a few people. If you want to do that, go with 10 people, and you could one day take all the darshans of all these Goswami temples. Right? There is a bhajan kutir of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta here, where I would like to go. It's a little bit in the back. I have to look a little, because it's been a long time since I was there, but we'll find it. And I want to circumambulate Shyamakund on that side, and we'll sit again over there. So from here, we will go to Raghunath's Samadhi. We will walk past the place where Krishnadas Kaviraj resided, and then from there we'll find our way to Bhaktisiddhanta's place. Of course, I take breakfast very early and you take breakfast later, so I don't know if we should take breakfast before we walk. It's 9:45. Would you like to take breakfast first, maybe? Okay, so maybe we spread out a little bit. Take your package, keep your garbage, do not dump it. We'll dump it somewhere later, because... okay, there are boxes. And so we can spread out and sit all over the place, because you all sit on top of each other. That's not so nice. Or some just sit where you are and start munching. In Radha Kund, Janavamata not only is having a very prominent place, but she had a very prominent place in the Vaishnava community at the time, because she was basically the senior most Vaishnavi present. And in Kateri, she was presiding over the whole function. Right? The Narottam was there. So, in this way, she had her private bathing place also there, and her sitting place. Now we will go inside, and there's the Samadhi of Raghunath Goswami. We'll circumambulate that, then we go back, pick up our shoes, and carry on with the going towards the... Yes. And then we'll carry on our Parikrama past the residence, the Bhajan Kutir of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And in this way we circumambulate the Kund. In the end today we'll go to Mukharai, which is just the opposite. It's a very peaceful place to sort of balance the day out. That is the plan. Hare Krishna.